Okay, hello everyone. How's everybody doing? I'm just, I titled this thing, Scientia is afraid to have a discussion with me, or he's a no-show, because he's always putting it off. He always says he's going to have a discussion with me, and he's always putting it off. So I agree to have a discussion with him, and he says, "Oh, well, we got to set it up first." So we set it up, and when it comes down to actually having the discussion, he's always putting it off to later. And the last I emailed him, I said, "Okay, anytime now," and never shows up. And which is strange to me because apparently he's a teacher, science teacher or something, some kind of teacher, and he, seems to know or seems to think he knows what he's talking about. So why would he be afraid to talk to me? Of course, I know why. If he's anything at all, that he would be afraid probably of looking bad, you know, not knowing what to say or not being able to respond very well. Because that's the reason all the scientists have of not having a discussion with us. But they will mislead kids all day long. But adults like us, they won't talk to us because they know they're not going to be able to, tell us anything and fool us into believing what they want us to believe. So this great debate is getting kind of boring, actually, because all the evidence is that there is something, that it's not here on its own accord, and that everything we see is, forced to be what it is. It's either forced to be what it is, or it's forced and ordered to be what it is, if it's a living organism. In other words, the elements are forced to be what they are, and the programming of the elements is ordered to be what it is. So it's really not complicated, and people are just trying to deny the obvious, and it should be really obvious. Should be really obvious to everyone, but people just confuse themselves so much by, well, it's also due to the fact that people are blinded by their own sin, because it's sin that blinds people. It's called the deceitfulness of sin in the Bible. And people will do what they do, and then they'll find reasons for doing what they do, and then they'll keep on, trying to find excuses, and they end up, confusing themselves and blinding themselves from the reality. It's so simple. You have matter. That's the result of energy. It takes energy to make matter, and it has to be ordered or directed energy, focused energy, somehow focused or directed, in order to make matter, because hydrogen, we know, disperses, doesn't coalesce, it disperses. And just the existence of matter itself, or hydrogen itself, takes power to make. So it's the existence of matter and the gravity of matter that dilates time and distance for us, for physical things to take place. So it slows down time and it shortens distance, or quantifies distance and time, so that things take time to happen. And meanwhile, the photon that is massless doesn't pass through time. It is all, it's already where it's headed for is already there, because it doesn't have mass, so it doesn't take time, and it doesn't travel distance to get there. So talk about a wormhole. Light is already there because there's no distance for it to travel, because it does travel the speed of light. When you go to measure it in time and space, it's certain measurements, 186,000 miles a second, according to dilated time and distance, according to our measure of dilated time and distance. But the photon itself doesn't experience or pass through, it doesn't pass through time or distance. It's already there. It's not slowed down by time or distance. And which is, really interesting, because there's a lot of things to consider, because with us there is distance, and the photons do spread out, fortunately for us, and they're not all close to us. They are a distance away from us in our fabrication of time and distance. There is distance for us, and yet for the photon there is no distance. But apparently there is direction, and of course distance, which caused the photons to spread out before they hit us. But anyway, this discussion of some great debate discussion is a little bit old. I mean they keep going on and on. They keep going on and on about, trying to pick fault with the morality of God, or the accuracy of historical records, or the existence of Jesus, or the existence of Abraham and Moses, for that matter. But it makes no difference, because they still have a maker, and they still have to answer to the maker. And of course they are intelligent, and their maker is much more intelligent than they are, and they have a mind, or intellect, intelligence, and their maker has much more intelligence than they. So it doesn't matter if they think that God is immoral, or if they think that Abraham didn't exist, or if they think that Moses didn't exist. Doesn't matter, because they still have a maker. And everything that's made was made by a greater potential than what we see. So we have the dilation of time and distance from the creation of matter. So everything we see came from everywhere, not from nowhere. But the interesting thing is that there is something rather than nothing. The reason there is something is proof of God, or evidence of God. Because nothing can make itself. Nothing can order itself. Because everything's made of energy, nothing can order itself. But I'm really kind of disappointed in the people. I'm singling out what is it, what's this guy's name? It's Scientia Perceptum. Yeah, Scientia Perceptum. I'm singling him out because he's just one example of many people who are quote unquote educated, should know better, should have an argument, should be able to back up what they teach to children, and yet they're not able to. And they run like they're scared children themselves, and yet they'll deceive children all day long themselves. So that's very annoying to me, and it should be against the law. And maybe, who knows, one day it will be against the law to teach evolution to kids without evidence, because there is no evidence, never was any evidence, and all the claims of evolution are always disproved in every case. No claim of evolution has ever been substantiated or borne out to have any basis at all. And that's the sad thing, is that you can't teach something that has no basis. And an all-powerful God has a basis. It has an observable basis. That all energy comes from a greater energy. And that's the basis for an infinite potential. All intelligence comes from a greater intelligence. That's the basis for an infinite intelligence. And the maker of the universe, time and distance, is not limited by this fabrication of time and distance, or limited time and distance, quantifiable time and distance. Obviously, the maker of everything there is not limited by every physical thing there is. And it's really a shame that we can't do science without, unfactual, unsubstantiated assertions of things making themselves and ordering themselves and directing themselves. And if we had a science that would look at things more objectively, without biased, baseless beliefs in naturalism or physical things making and directing themselves. Without that basis, we could accomplish so much more in science, because we'd be much more objective looking at the facts. We'd have people, instead of looking for aliens, instead of NASA looking for aliens, we would be looking at the evidence of God and teaching the evidence of God so that people would behave themselves accordingly. You complain about all the evil in the world and accuse God of being immoral, and you're teaching a lie in school. So it's not God who is immoral, it's the ones who is teaching the lies in schools that are immoral and kill babies and things like that, because it totally destroys the, what I call it, the psyche or the mind of people, so that people become worthless. When people become worthless, then they're good for nothing and only destroy everything. But when people believe the truth, people are free from all those kinds of things. So they're free to be able to rationalize and make good decisions, wise decisions, and be able to contribute to other people, to give to other people instead of taking from other people. Hello, Jesus is Lord. Nah, he didn't show last week, and I don't expect him to show this week. I just gave up trying to send him messages that's not inspiring. Scientia, Perceptum. He just, he acts like he wants to talk and talk, but he always puts it off and then blames me for putting it off or not showing up, which is, even worse, because that means he doesn't have a word. His word is not reliable or trustworthy, and he's teaching kids. So he's in a position of authority over kids, to teach kids. And that's what the problem is, when people believe lies, all kinds of lies. So yeah, I think STF has got a thing going, or is going to have a thing going. So maybe I'll just go ahead and sign out and watch that. But I just want to make a record of not only Scientia. I'm picking on Scientia, Perceptum, but he's just one of many teachers of kids and children and young adults and the general public that are lying to people, and they can't talk to adults about what they're doing, because of course they would be disproved, they would be disgraced and made to look like fools, because when people teach what's right, don't teach what's right and teach what's wrong, it's not very smart. So we gotta remedy that and make sure they're called out. We gotta call them out. So that's what I'm doing, because the truth will set us free. So amen to that.